What's going on guys, Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys more about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but I want to talk to you guys about something that I haven't really made a video on, and that's just my personal wishes from the stuff that I would love to see inside of this game. And so this video is going to be about 5 wishes for things that I would love to see inside of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And of course, this is just my opinion here, so you don't have to agree with everything, but I do think that a lot of you guys are probably going to agree with many of these, because a lot of these would just make the game much more fun in my opinion, so you can definitely comment down below and let me know which ones you agree with. Now these are also not going in any particular order, so the first thing that I mentioned is not something that I want more than any of the other things. I pretty much want all of these things to be inside of Xenoblade 3, so I figured I would also clear that up. But yeah, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that I've got here is multiple save files, and this is something that I'm really hoping stays inside of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because I think that having multiple save files is always really good, especially for a big RPG game like this. Now Xenoblade 1 originally came with 3 save files, and even Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, when it re-released on the Nintendo Switch, also comes with 3 save files. However, Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 both only have just 1 save file. I think for Xenoblade X, maybe part of it just comes with how it has online features and things like that also, and then I think for Xenoblade 2, it might be because of some of like the blade summoning things and the gacha element, so they didn't want you to have like blades in certain files or something like that. I don't know exactly the reason for why it wasn't in Xenoblade 2, but I really am hoping that 3 save files, or at least just multiple save files, are inside of Xenoblade 3. I think that it would just be really awesome, because I really like to have multiple save files for the different types of playthroughs that I like to do. Usually for like these big types of RPG games, the first file that I like is pretty much just the one with like my first playthrough where I go in blind and just experience the game and see everything for the first time. And then the second save file is the one that I like to do for completion. That's the one where I'll do like every single side quest, I'll try to get every single item, and I'll try to like 100% the game. And then the last save file is just the one that I use to replay the game over and over. So I'll play the game, beat it, and then reset that save file. So I'm really hoping that Xenoblade 3 does keep multiple save files also. I don't really see a reason why they should remove them. And I know that you can create a new user on your Switch and basically have a new save file whenever you want, but I don't like having to create a new user every single time I want to play the game again. I like also just having my data from my first playthrough and then like a new game plus playthrough, and then just being able to play the game fresh without having like all the new game plus stuff also. So hopefully Xenoblade 3 does have multiple save files. It would make me really happy. The next thing that I've got here is having different vehicles for traversing. So in the very first Xenoblade 3 trailer, we actually got to see a couple seconds of like this boat where it looks like you're actually going to be able to control like a boat in the water and maybe use that to traverse some of the water areas and get to islands and probably discover like new areas and stuff, which sounds really fun. And I'm hoping that the boat isn't the only type of transportation and that you can have other ways of traversing the world as well, because I think if you have fast ways of just exploring through this entire big world, it's going to be so much fun to explore and get through these areas really fast. And especially with like how Xenoblade X introduced like the mechs where like you could fly around in the world and explore so much more, I think that trying to do something kind of like that inside of Xenoblade 3 would also be really cool. And I know that they were kind of trying to do something like this with Xenoblade 2 as well, where initially you were going to have like an airship to be able to go from each Titan, but they decided not to do that. So hopefully in this game you can actually have different types of vehicles, especially if you can like go through like these areas really fast on the land. If you could have like something like Juju's buggy, or like a way of traversing really fast through the grassy areas, a boat to kind of go through the water areas, and then like a mech to fly around in the sky with. It would just be so much fun to explore and travel through all the areas in this game. Now the next thing that I've got here is having appearance clothing as well as unique clothing. So one of the really cool things about Xenoblade 1 was that every party member came with a lot of these unique outfits, and you were able to unlock them by buying them in shops or doing side quests, and it was just so cool because like you could have Shulk looking in this really awesome Aerith C outfit, or having Dunban looking really awesome with his eye patch or something like that, and I think it's just super cool to have all of these different customizable options. But for some reason inside of Xenoblade 2, they didn't have this, and every character pretty much just had their default design. Now later with the DLC, we did get these aux cores which were change like their colors and stuff, but I think it would just be super awesome to have like really cool unique outfits again for all of the characters inside of Xenoblade 3. So I am hoping that this does make a return and they're not just color swaps for their default clothing, because I think that having all of these unique different types of outfits again would just be super awesome, because in Xenoblade 1 the cutscenes also showed these unique outfits, and even when you were getting flashbacks and changed your clothing, you could get the flashback of what you were wearing at the time. It was just really cool to see, so I am hoping that something like that is also also inside of Xenoblade 3. Now going off of this, Xenoblade Definitive Edition also introduced appearance clothing, which basically gave you the ability to make your characters look however you want, but you could also have different clothing for like their stats, so that way they could still have the best stats for like their gameplay performance in battle, but you could also make them look as cool as you want. So I am hoping that that feature also stays if they decide to bring back unique clothing inside of Xenoblade 3. Now something else that I'm also really hoping for is for Xenoblade 3 to have more of these like really beautiful, pretty fantasy types of areas similar to the ones inside of Xenoblade 1. Now because Xenoblade is a fictional fantasy game, it allows for them to be much more creative with their world design, and they can pretty much do whatever they want without having to worry about it looking realistic, and I think it's because of that that we get so many of these really beautiful, pretty areas inside of Xenoblade, and I'm really hoping that Xenoblade 3 has more of these like really kind of impossible looking fantasy areas instead of ones that are kind of still potentially possible to get in real life, and I did feel like that Xenoblade 2 didn't have as many as Xenoblade 1, so like for example, Xenoblade 1 has like Satoral Mars, where all these trees light up like Christmas trees at night, and it's just so pretty to kind of go through that area. And then of course we've got Arid Sea, where like you've got all these floating islands, but then you see like this meteor shower and shooting stars falling down as well. Like it's just so magical and really pretty to look at. But I feel like in Xenoblade 2 there weren't really as many of these types of areas. Like the one that I know for sure was definitely Uriah, which was really pretty to go through, but besides that there weren't really like super pretty looking areas like that. So I am hoping that a lot of these areas inside of Xenoblade 3 are going to be really pretty ones, and it definitely does look like that's going to be the case. I'm sure they're definitely hiding a lot of these, but also just like even looking at the desert area, like looking at the trees here, they kind of look like they're on fire, so it does look like they're trying to make them look much more fantasy like and really pretty. So I really am hoping that there's more of these types of areas. And finally, my last wish that I have for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is being able to switch your playable character during the combat. Now, if you guys didn't know, Final Fantasy VII Remake actually has my favorite video game combat system of all time. I love that combat system so much. I could play that game for hours and never really get bored of the gameplay. And one of the reasons why I love the gameplay of that so much is because it allows you to be able to switch your playable character during the combat by just pressing a button. And it's so much fun to be able to play as Cloud and just go up to enemies and slash them around with the Buster Sword, and then press a button and you're instantly playing as Tifa now, punching a whole bunch of enemies and doing sick combos. Press a button again, and now you're shooting magic with the staff far away with Aerith. It's just so much fun to be able to switch between these characters really fast, and I feel like that because of that, it just makes the game so much fun for me, and a lot of other combat systems do this as well, and I really feel like if Xenoblade did this, it would just be so much fun. Now, Xenoblade combat is already pretty complex, but a lot of it also relies on the AI trying to do the right thing when you need them to, and I think we've all had that experience where we do something and we're really waiting for the computer to do the right thing so that we can continue the combo, but they just never decide to do it. So I feel like having the ability to switch your playable character in combat would just be so much fun. If you could like play as Noah and get like break on the enemy, and then switch to Mio so she can topple the enemy, and then switch to Uni so she can daze them, being able to do everything yourself like that by switching through the characters would just be a ton of fun. Now, this feature may have already been supposedly confirmed, as Nintendo did have a blog post about Xenoblade 3 where they mentioned that you can switch the character during combat, but we don't have any gameplay footage of it actually happening to know for sure, and of course these are in Japanese first, so it could just be a translation error or something else, so we don't really know exactly for sure, which is why I still put it on this list. But yeah, there you go guys, those are my 5 wishes for things that I would love to see inside of Xenoblade 3. If you guys enjoyed this video, then definitely be sure to click that like button, and also comment down below and let me know what you guys think of this. Do you guys agree with some of the things that I want? What are some of the things that you would love to see inside of Xenoblade 3? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Xenoblade content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.